When revealed at the 2005 EICMA trade show in Milan, the Ducati Hypermotard 1100 found its way onto wish lists of thrill seekers far and wide. It began as a platform that could do just about any form of riding, from mundane commuting to adrenaline rush track days, and, of course, riding that will land many of us before a judge in a desperate attempt to retain our licenses. The 2016 Hypermotard 939 SP is a platform for anyone who needs to live multiple lives. It has a comfortable, upright riding position, quick-footed handling, and an engine that will leave you fumbling the keys while counting the minutes until you can leave your respectable persona at the office. But beyond that, and in spite of its versatility, it's a rare, uncompromising specimen in the motorcycle world. All too often riders must settle on loosely defined path, sport, touring, adventure, off-road, just to name a few, and the Hypermotard 939 SP is unwavering in its dedication to us, the enthusiast. It tackles both the passive and active forms of riding. That's in the face of its inherent performance leanings, which many would write off as being too narrowly focused on one style of riding, and that's just not the case with the 2016 Hyper. Strangely enough, my first exposure to the Hypermotard 939 SP wasn't in the aggressive settings that motorcycle publications revel in. No, it was in dense Los Angeles traffic. But to properly review a bike, you might as well start in the most miserable conditions, right? What I soon found was something that made commuting fun, and that's quite an achievement. Nimble as can be, the Hyper 939 SP sets a rider up to take any sort of evasive action that might be needed. As far as lane splitting goes, the narrow profile, sitting from an Italian perch allows for great visibility and comfort. To give some perspective, finding entertainment in the act of commuting is on par with making taxes or trips to the DMV a joy-filled event. I'm sure some sadist will balk at that statement, but for the rest of us, those are miserable expenditures of time. Let's begin with the 937cc Testretta 11 degrees, L-twin engine. Over the years, the Hypermotard's engine has been on a bit of a yo-yo diet, with various air-cooled and liquid-cooled motors ranging from 1078cc to 803cc. This year, Ducati has settled on a 6-speed, liquid-cooled 937cc platform that makes a claimed 113 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 72.2 feet/pounds of torque at 7,500 RPM. The new Hypermotard 939 SP is a full electronic suite, with 3 customizable riding modes: Race, Sport and Wet. Race is the most lenient of the bunch, giving a rider unhindered throttle response, along with ABS in the front only, Level 1 DTC and no rear wheel lift control activated. You get the point. As you move through the settings, safety measures increase. Electronics are great, but they're not why we're here. We all want to know how it behaves in the wild. The Hypermotard wants to be ridden, and not at a snail's pace. No offense to the majestic Cornus Persum. It isn't a subtle suggestion either. The bike urges you forward, no matter the setting. Rolling the power will bring a grin to even the most soured soul. With little to no help, the Hypermotard's front end will begin to get light. That's a big part of this bike's personality. It's a shame I can't put it up anywhere that the little scamp of a bike wants to be. In the canyons, I found the engine to be magnificently suited for spirited riding, especially when making use of its peak torque number. The Hyper grabs you by the scruff and drags a rider out of the corner, throwing you into the next curve, always on the edge of "I've made a terrible mistake." That's the kind of engine that this bike needs if it is to live up to the Motard banner, which it has done so with flying colors. Where the bike excels above many is its nimble nature. There are times when I'm more than willing to admit that reviews don't do a bike justice, and that informed consumers simply need to set down the phone or computer and get themselves to a dealer. Hyperbole? Not at all. The Hypermotard 939 SP is loaded up with fully adjustable high-end Öhlins suspension, 48mm inverted forks up front and a linkage-assisted piggyback reservoir shock. If that isn't enough, the gold Öhlins suspension certainly give the bike a healthy boost in the aesthetic departments.